come to me because they know Lagos is listening.
I love the way you engage Nigerians, especially with these people who are called supremacist Nigerians. They feel they are more Nigerian than you and I.
We talk to the newsmakers.
The Special Assistant to the President on Digital and New Media, Tolu Ogunlesi. Frank Mba has just walked into the studio.
Yewande Sadiku. Yewande is the Executive Secretary of NIPC, the Nigeria Investment Promotion Council.
The Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on Public Affairs, Mr. Ajuri Ngelale.
We talk to captains of industry.
She's the founder and CEO of Tomato Jos, one of Nigeria's biggest agro-industrial businesses. Her name is Miriam Meta. He's been selected for Forbes 30 Under 30. His name is Iniolua Aboyeji.
We talk to the experts.
He's the chief economist at Business Day. He's a big friend of the show. Also,
he's the head of the Department of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, NIMR. Dr. Bamidele Waloko.
And we talk to you.
I found Mr. Usman through Hard Facts. He's a listener. He sent us a WhatsApp message when we were talking about the scanners at the ports.
Give me your afternoon and I'll give you the answers.
How can LASTMA improve the monitoring of its officers? That's a conversation that we're going to have on the show today. Lagos, I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. We're talking about this in part because of the story last week of Jude Eze, who was allegedly extorted for 10,000 naira while trying to get his wife to the hospital. Here's today's big hard fact. According to the Lagos State government, Lagos State averages 227 cars per kilometer of road. The national average, according to NBS, is 11. So as you can see, Lagos has a lot of cars on the road. Lots of cars means that, we've got lots of traffic. And lots of traffic means that we have lots of traffic issues. So from rules violations to traffic jams, and LASTMA does a very important job, which is enforcing traffic laws. So the question is, how can the officers be empowered to get that job done while being monitored to prevent abuse of that power? Joining us is somebody who deals with that balance every day. He's the general manager at LASTMA. His name is Engineer Jide Oduyoye. Engineer Oduyoye, good to have you on the show. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Good afternoon.
All right.
All right, great. And Lagos, we want to hear from you as well. What questions do you have for the LASTMA GM? Women, you can call me on 014657190. Men, you can call me on 0700-993-993-993. Engineer Duyoyo, let's start with procedure. A lot of Lagosians don't know what they are supposed to expect if LASTMA officials stop them for a traffic violation. So can you tell us what's supposed to happen?
Well, at first, if an officer should stop a motorist for one reason or the other, the rule of engagement is that the officer is supposed to share with the driver or the owner, if the owner happens to be there, the reason why they're being stopped, and in a clear fashion, and to explain the fact that perhaps he is there to correct them or to signify the type of offense and that it has broken one of the traffic rules in the 2018 legal order, and then to express to them that in order to address the traffic offense, then it needs to take the vehicle into custody so that the offense, the process can be done in any of the 43 zones that we have across the state. And that process means that we have someone at the LASTMA yard who we refer to as a general duty officer. So when such a vehicle that has been certified to have committed an offense, the GDO will assess the evidence that's been provided by the arresting officer or apprehending officer, and then he will make a decision to book the vehicle and give the owner the opportunity to see a magistrate judge on it, or to pay the requisite fine as prescribed by law. And that paper or document will be given, and if the offender chooses to pay the fine, then they will supply name, and telephone number as required, and then get another ticket to go and pay the fine in a bank before the process of getting the vehicle released is met.
Now, there have been so many situations where Lagosians have complained that this procedure you've just outlined was not followed when a traffic stop was made. So they complain of LASTMA officials harassing them or extorting money from them. And I have to ask, what should a motorist do if something like that happens to them? What options do they have right there on the spot?
It's a difficult one that you have mentioned, to be honest with you. And when a motorist says stuff like harassment or extortion, I feel on a balance of fairness, it requires more questions to be asked of both parties.
Okay.
All right, because I might be doing my job, and in the process of doing my job, maybe someone doesn't like it, and then they end up saying I'm harassing them just because I'm insisting on carrying out my assignment.
Okay.
But I can't blame them if they say that, because what is harassment to you may not be harassment to somebody else who understands what's going on. Secondly, the issue of extortion is a two-way road. I'm not saying I haven't heard this complaint. I hear it all the time. And where LASTMA is concerned, we bring them in and we sanction them. But extortion, in a way, could also mean a driver who knows they have committed an offense and is looked for a cheaper way to get away from it. And so they offer monetary inducement for them to be released. And when that is done, depending on how the negotiation is gone, because you may negotiate to get away from something, but you may not be happy with what you're being asked to pay. And then you go out and complain to people and say, I was extorted. Meanwhile, the first thing that you should say is, truly, I did commit an offense, and I was told I committed an offense. How did money change hands? Where did it come to money issue?
So you're saying
So
that...
the responsibilities on both sides.
Okay. So you're saying that we have both bribery and extortion.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, in a situation, and then you also mentioned earlier on that, harassment is relative. You say some people may experience something and tag it harassment, whereas the LASTMA official is just doing her job. And some other people may experience something at the hands of a LASTMA official and not consider it harassment. They'll simply understand that the LASTMA official is simply doing their job. Now, in a situation where I'm interacting with a LASTMA official and I feel like I'm being harassed, or I have proof that I'm being extorted, what should I do? I mean, what options are available to me right there on the spot?
First and foremost, we are trained and we are made to believe that we are public servants.
Okay.
And public servants should not just be for rhetorics alone.
Okay.
Public servant means like you serve the public. However, during that service, we are governed by rules and regulations.
Okay.
And so the public should not, on the other hand, feel just because we're servants that it is up to them how they interpret what should happen on the road. So if at any point in time, officer behavior does not meet the minimum standard as expected from a public servant, then the person who is feeling undermined or who's feeling harassed or extorted should make a record. That is why we wear uniforms with names. And where you feel like it is safe to do so, because sometimes we have stories where people have tried to take pictures and videos and officers have found it absolutely not supportive of it, and it can quickly degenerate into something else. So just get as much information, the location, what happened, what was said, get the name of the officer, and then you report down to headquarters, to management, to LASTMA management. And we have different platforms on social media, and we encourage and we give out numbers and we encourage the public that we serve to report all these incidences for two things. So we can monitor how we're being perceived or seen by the public that we serve, and also to be able to determine what sort of punishment needs to be meted to the officer who has not done the right thing as per expectation from our public servants.
Lagos, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And I have on the show with me today the general manager of LASTMA, engineer Jide Oduyoye. And he's talking to us today about how LASTMA can improve the monitoring of its officers. Now, Engineer Oduyoye, in recent months, we've heard the state government talk about deploying more technology for traffic management and enforcement. So they've talked about things like CCTV cameras, plate number recognition, things like that. Where are we on implementing that?
Well, we're at the starting block.
Okay.
We're at the starting block. We've got a long way to go, but the desire to make sure that is happening is real. You obviously know that traffic management and public transportation is number one theme of Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And so anything that would help to improve the service delivery is what it's all about. And so, but technology doesn't come cheap, okay? Right. And in the face of so many things that needs to be done in a growing city like ours, that is the most populated in the whole country, there are so many demands from the education side, there are so many demands on the environmental side, there's so many demands on the social side, infrastructure-wise. And so it's not just that all the money that is accrued into government is going to be pumped into just traffic management, because as we speak, there are millions of people who do not have any real business per se with traffic on Lagos roads. They need to move, but they're not solely dependent. So Mr. Governor is responsible for all of us, not just those who drive cars that need to be on the road. And so the capital investment to get to that point is a slow and steady process. But the good thing is, like, he has started, and hopefully we'll get to where we need to go. But no doubt about it, in order to address these issues that we're talking about, you need technology, because technology would not lie. Technology would not talk about harassment. Technology would not say this event is different from the other event. Technology will speak the facts and speak the truth all of the time.
Lagos, let's talk, shall we? 0700-993-993-993. Men, call me on that number. Women, call me on 01-465-7190. We want to hear from you. Do you have questions for Engineer Oduyoye? Go ahead and share them with us on WhatsApp as well. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. We're streaming live on Facebook as well. So if you have questions and you cannot get through via the phone lines, go ahead and leave a question for us on Facebook and on YouTube, and we will take them as we can, as we go along. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. YouTube is Nigeria Info FM. We've got an anonymous caller on the line. You're going to have to keep it very short, 1 minute, 30 seconds, because a lot of people are trying to call at the same time. Hello. Thank you for calling us.
Hello, Sandra. Good evening. Sandra.
Good evening. You've got 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay. I just want to talk to our guy at the top who is there. Talking about LASTMA officials, I just want to make it very short.
Okay.
I've had an encounter that was very traumatic. My car got spoiled on the way, and from nowhere, LASTMA officials came. I thought they were going to come and help me.
Recording in progress.
I thought they came to help me. All I saw was that they took pictures of my car, towed my car, and insisted I paid a certain huge amount of money to them unrestricted. I don't know how long this is going to keep happening in Lagos roads, because I think I'm not the only one. You know, I just want this to be addressed, and we want to hear from the Oga at the top.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sandra.
Thank you very much, Anonymous, for calling. So that wasn't exactly a question. She says her car broke down and then she was besieged by officers who took pictures of her vehicle and then proceeded to ask for a huge amount of money, and they did not offer a receipt for the money that they wanted to get from her. How often do you get complaints like that, Engineer Duyoye?
Every single day.
Okay.
I'll try and explain a few things. I'll try to see how fast I can do that.
Okay.
We live in an environment where we have the good, the bad, and the ugly amongst us. And it doesn't matter what facet of society, that seems to be the fact anyway. And so it is conceivable that amongst us in this agency, we have members of staff who are out there for themselves. They've forgotten that a real government has given them an opportunity to have a job, and said they go out there to do their own thing. And they fall into that category that has just been explained, in the sense that they are not, you see, when you go out and you have a selfish projection, instead of your spirit telling you to help someone, even within the power and authority that you have, you go out there to extort them. And so that is the real thing. And I'm admitting it because it's the truth. But it is not too peculiar to this agency per se. And I'm not saying that just so I can excuse us for something that is totally unacceptable. So whatever area you want to look at in this country, you just find people doing things that they shouldn't do. However, it is a difficult one sometimes when I paint a scenario when someone is broken down onto a major road, that even though the breakdown is not their fault, but the fact remains that they have broken down. And when a vehicle breaks down on the highway and it disturbs me or disturbs traffic flow, then that vehicle needs to be moved. Okay. Now, the service of moving that vehicle is not a social service.
Okay.
It needs to be paid for. So when I move your vehicle and I don't have a means of getting paid for the service I provided you to move your vehicle away from the highway, then the vehicle needs to be taken in for processing. It is that timing and the charges that a lot of vehicle owners are not happy about, because you can imagine they're already distressed, the fact that they're broken down, they have places to go, they have meetings to meet, vehicle has broken down, the vehicle is not going to a mechanic to go and repair it, but it's been taken to a LASTMA yard. But if I don't take it to a LASTMA yard and I take it to your mechanic, that could be another 30 miles, your preferred mechanic could be 30 miles journey from where it is, who's going to pay for it? How do I make you pay for the service that's been provided? And that's the reason why you find a whole lot of situation, people taking it to the LASTMA yard. Otherwise, when you have a vehicle, you should engage a tow truck permanently. Once you break down, you get your vehicle off the road and LASTMA would not come and meet you.
Why can't you take the driver's license, for example?
Because half of it are fake.
Half of the driver's licenses on the roads in Lagos are fake.
That's a fact.
Interesting. Okay.
And a lot of people don't carry their driver's license anyway. They have photocopies.
Interesting.
That's a fact. Oh. That's a fact too.
Okay. So if we know that offending officers are getting violent, right? And this ties back to a point you made earlier on when you were addressing an earlier question. If we know that offending officers are getting violent when aggrieved motorists want to perhaps take videos or collect evidence or stuff like that, doesn't it mean that there needs to be some sort of surveillance system to help LASTMA management monitor its officers?
Yes, we have that in place.
Okay, what do you have in place?
We have a department, it's called monitoring and surveillance. We have in the system, in the structure that we have a provost marshal. And so when you understand a paramilitary environment, provost marshal is someone that goes around disguisedly and everything to monitor whether officers are doing what they're supposed to do or not.
Okay.
So that's what we have in place.
Okay. Now let's come back to the phone lines. Lagos is shutting me down. 99.3. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah. Another question I want to ask is that sometimes when you're driving towards that LASTMA office, there's a vulcanizer that actually stays there. Probably you stop there to what's it called? You stop there to pump your tire, and then LASTMA comes immediately. I think they work together. That's number one.
Okay.
And then LASTMA comes immediately and then move your car straight into their yard. That's number one. Then number two, if this our guy that is speaking, for me, I feel he's been a judge in his own case. You understand? I bet you those LASTMA officers, they give him returns after their daily job. I'm telling you the fact.
Do you have proof of this? Because the man is here and you're making like strong allegations.
It's the truth. If you bring in ICPC to check him, you will see that most of us they give him return. So definitely he's going to defend them. That's just what I want to say.
Okay, thank you very much for calling. Now, I mean, Engineer Duye, I mean, you heard the caller, so I'll let you defend yourself.
I have to be very careful so that I don't personalize it. Because first of all, I would challenge the Mr. Chris that don't hide behind radio and make such things about someone that is alive. I know who I am. I can speak for myself. I think the best thing for you to have done was to ask if I do collect anything from anyone and then use my answer to respond. But what you've just said now is direct. I would take it as an insult, complete insult. But you have a right to say what you have to say, but it's an insult. But don't forget, when you make such claims in a public space, you're leaving yourself open to be sued. And if I have details of who you are, I promise you personally, I will sue you. If you suspect that officers along the line are getting whatever, that's different. So your coinage of what you need to say should be different. Don't say you bet. You can't bet something that is not real. And so I will leave it like that. I'm not sure any other answer from me that you deserve it at this particular moment. Sorry.
Okay. Let me take a few more calls. 99.3. Hello.
Sandra, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
Akpan is my name, calling from Barua.
Welcome, Akpan from Barua. Go ahead. Can you speak up for us so that we can all hear you?
Okay. Engineer, Mr. Engineer, good afternoon.
Go ahead. Just go ahead. You've got 1 minute, 30 seconds.
I want to toe the line of the last caller. Whatever the last caller is saying concerning...
Do you have a question?
I want to ask him, I have a question.
All right, go straight to your question.
Number one, LASTMA officials on the road, that whenever they are picking up vehicles on suspected to have committed traffic offense and they use their phone to be picturing the scene, I'm asking whether that phone they are using is an official phone or their personal phones. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two. Are these LASTMA officials empowered by the law? Then when they contravene a vehicle for whatever traffic offenses that seems to be committed by the driver, do they have the law that is backing them up that they must collect the control of that vehicle from the owner or from the driver to drive by themselves?
So do they have the backing of the law to impound your car?
Not impound, to take over the driving.
So to get into the vehicle and drive the car, huh?
Drive the car.
Okay. All right, Akpan. Thank you very much for calling. We appreciate it. We've got WhatsApp as well, so send those questions in via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, take more of your calls, more of your questions, and have Engineer Jide Oduyoye answer those questions. He's a general manager at LASTMA, and he's on the show today talking to us about how LASTMA can improve the monitoring of its officers. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. This is Nigeria Info 99.3. You're listening to Hard Facts. Don't go away.
You don't start, and I know what. If my money is my money, and your money is your money, that means that money is equal to Mama Caro money, and P money is equal to Papa Caro money. Period. Oh, so that's what they do now. Yes, now the almighty formula be that. Hey, thank God, I don't get a lot. I don't win 10 million for Fidelity Get a lot in millions game promo. Hey, wait. How you take do am? Now Fidelity savings account are open for Fidelity Bank. The game never finish for Fidelity Get a lot in millions promo season 4. Make you not slack. Sharply open Fidelity savings account online to qualify for the final draw on 22nd of July 2021 to win 10 million naira. Bam. Oh yeah, log into gaim.fidelitybank.ng to open your account today. You fit also visit any Fidelity Bank branch to open them. Terms and conditions they shall.
We're Fidelity. We keep our word.
Good life, magic. Oh, I can't believe this is what we really feel. Look at crispy energy, we can be going all day. Mama magic, good life magic, yummy magic. My friend, vitamin C helps boost immunity, keeps me healthy, and I'm mommy worry free. Mama,
filled with goodness of vitamin C. Good Life Magic. Taste the magic of good life.
Hey, Alpha now. You start your day like this. Everything is going well until the unexpected happens. Then, hey, the bass boss begin.
How will you hit me?
If you get our Flexi Comprehensive Motor Insurance Plan, you can save yourself yay, and the painful cost of repairing the damage to your vehicle for as low as 15,000 naira a year. If someone bashes your car,
we offered by a well-trained crew. Fly with Airpeace to Ilorin and enjoy peaceful skies as you take advantage of our affordable fares. For bookings, head to our website on www.flyairpeace.com or download the Airpeace mobile app on Play Store or App Store. Go on, start booking, and share the great news. Airpeace, your peace, our goal.
Let's talk about the life you desire. A fantastic job, great education for your kids, exotic vacations, and finally, retiring well, knowing that you've secured your family's financial needs. It's beautiful when you think of it, right? But without the right plan, all these dreams could just be wishful thinking. My Here's Plan from Here's Life combines savings and life insurance to secure your child's future. We pay an agreed amount up to 5 million naira or more to your child or beneficiary if the unforeseen happens to you, their provider. This way, your dream for your child continues as planned. Visit www.here'slifeassurance.com to get started. Here's Life. Tell us your dreams.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Lagos, it's 5:31. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. How can LASTMA improve the monitoring of its officers? We have on the show today answering that question for us the General Manager at LASTMA, Engineer Jide Oduyoye. Like I shared with you when we started today's show, the Lagos State government says that Lagos State averages 227 cars per kilometer of road. The national average, according to NBS, is 11. So as you can see, Lagos has a lot of cars on the roads, and that means that there's a lot of traffic on Lagos roads. And when you have a lot of traffic on Lagos roads, it means that there's room for all kinds of traffic violations, that lead to traffic jams. A lot of the time you're on the road and someone has done some crazy stuff, that's causing the traffic, and you are actually wondering, where's LASTMA? Why can't LASTMA come and carry somebody like this, But in the process of carrying somebody who has broken some traffic rule or the other, how do we make sure that that interaction does not degenerate? Because again, remember that we're having this conversation because of the story last week of Jude Eze, who was allegedly extorted of 10,000 naira. Now, before the break, we got a call from Akban. Akban wanted to know from Engineer Oduyoye, number one, what law backs LASTMA officers to get into the vehicle of a driver and drive off while they're trying to make a traffic stop? I've also had that question for a long time. Is it legal when the LASTMA officers want to jump into your vehicle and drive off with your car?
Well, if you put it that way of jumping into your vehicle, then it will sound quite negative. Okay? Basically, my comment will be, if you own a car and your car breaks down, would you allow a mechanic in his dirty overall to sit behind your wheel and drive your car to the garage to go and have it repaired or not?
That's a mechanic, not a LASTMA officer.
Yes, so what I'm saying is like, so another human being has gone into your car. Now, who is allowed to drive a car in Lagos? A certified license holder is allowed to drive a vehicle. There is no law in this land that says someone who has a driver's license cannot drive a car as long as a permission is given or the law allows you. Where does the law say? The law says an enforcement officer, such as a LASTMA officer, can apprehend a vehicle. How do you apprehend the vehicle? From the person who has committed an offense, who does not want to listen or obey a simple law. There are only two ways. You drive the vehicle or you tow the vehicle. Now, if you tow the vehicle, it's going to do two things. Whatever reason why you need to tow the vehicle will continue until the towing vehicle comes. All right? Now, towing vehicle can also incur extra charges for the owner. So the simplest and easiest way is for the LASTMA officer to drive the vehicle. Why would he drive the vehicle as opposed to the owner? The owner at this point is already aggrieved. And it is on record, and it's a fact, that it is not uncommon for the owner from being angry or just not accepting that they've done wrong. They will drive the LASTMA officer to a garage, drive it to their homes or to office block and get them beaten, kidnapping. And that is why the narrative changed, that instead of putting officers in danger of offenders who are not submissive to what is going on, you drive the car to a garage and that gives you some kind of protection. But people don't like that. Oh, you get into the car and then you drive off. The third factor, depending on the area. For example, we have some areas in Lagos that are very volatile. So if you try and arrest a commercial vehicle in Fadeyi area, in Mushin area, some parts of Ikorodu, they will gang up. Before you can even do your job, you will get beaten. So you need to apprehend the offender, get inside the vehicle, and drive off so fast before they can gang up. And those are practical reasons. It is not the ideal way, but for this environment, you do what needs to be done in order to keep yourself safe.
Is it legal?
The records are there.
Is it
Yes,
legal?
of course it's legal.
Because
Yes,
I'm not giving you consent to get into my property. That's the difference between
I don't
dealing.
need one.
Oh, okay.
I don't need consent because as far as I'm concerned, as an enforcement officer, I have certified you to be a traffic offender. And that's it. It's my job to tell you that you have committed an offense.
I see.
And I need to book the vehicle. So I don't need your consent. Like, okay, is it all right if I drive the car? No, I don't need that. Because I'm just driving the car. I'm not doing anything else with it.
I see. Okay.
And I'm a uniformed officer authorized with a name and identity.
But in 2019, a court of appeal disagreed with this position you're holding right now. This position you're sharing right now. A court of appeal judgment from 2019 disagreed.
The law hasn't changed for LASTMA officers, so the court of appeal may be there, but it is not part of. We work with the law. I can just show.
Court of Appeal said that LASTMA did not have the right to impound cars without a court ruling.
That's fine. This is 2021. The law that covers LASTMA operations has not recognized that court of appeal stuff.
So you're saying the court of appeal doesn't have the right to interpret the law?
No, I am saying the court of appeal has not forced those that we empower to be in the Lagos State House of Assembly to change the law. I didn't write the law. LASTMA officers didn't write the law. And so if that is an issue for elected members in the House of Assembly, then they would have changed it. I can only work within the ambit of what? Yeah.
No, but I mean, it doesn't seem to me that LASTMA, that is an executive agency, can ignore a judicial ruling. The court doesn't need to tell the legislature to change the law.
No, we're not executive. We're agency under the state government. So if the law, if our guide needs to change legally, the interpretation or otherwise, that is up to those that we report to do so, not us.
You are an agency under the executive arm of the Lagos state government. And once the court says an action under the law is illegal, the executive simply is supposed to stop enforcing it.
Okay, well, you know what? You did say it's engineer Jide Oduyoye. You didn't say lawyer Jide Oduyoye. So maybe you're going to have to pardon me that I'm not capable of interpreting what the executive and the legal thing says. All I'm saying is, like, I have a Bible here. I have a Bible here. And everything that we do is inside here. And this is what I was given. Follow what is in here and do what you got to do because it's in here. So if anybody wants to put an amendment, then it will be in the public space that item 23 in the legal order has been changed as a result of what the law, current law, or wherever I've said. And so we take note of that.
Okay. The Atman also wanted to know that what phones were used for recording these traffic violations. He wanted to know if those phones were personal phones or official phones.
Official phones, of course, but what difference does it make?
Okay. Let's come back to the phone lines. 99.3. Hello.
Hello, Sandra. Good evening.
Good evening. What's your name?
My name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I just want to give him a tip for his people.
You want to what?
I just want to give him a tip to for his people.
Okay, you've got 1 minute 30 seconds.
This last man, they are always in one post.
Okay.
If you are posted to Obalende under bridge, that last man will be here till next 2 years. That's where he'll be operating.
Okay.
Is it possible for them to rotate these people two days or weekly or daily?
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
Let them be rotating them. If you are in Obalende today, then next week they are going to work in Oju Elegba.
What is that supposed to help do? What is that supposed to help them do?
It will help because these people, they have a way of operating. This last man, believe me or not, they have a way of operating.
Okay. Again, but what is rotating them supposed to help them do?
God bless you. Rotating them will make them not to be friendly, most especially with all these keke people, Kurope people, or downfall boss people.
Okay.
You understand?
So it will make them not be friendly.
A downfall driver that's working in Bordelon, a downfall driver that's working in Bordelon, he will. Those people are his people. He has already know them.
Okay.
He has already know them.
But don't we want LASTMA officers to be friendly with road users? I mean,
it's very good to be friendly with them, but believe me or not, if these people they are always. If these people they are always what do they call it, friendly with these people, those people they will just causing mistrust there.
All right, thank you very much for calling. 99.3. Hello.
Hello, President Sandra. Good evening.
Thank you for calling. Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, I'm hearing you. What's your name, sir?
Yeah, Francis from VI.
Hi, Francis. Go ahead.
Yes, Sandra. I have a lot of questions to ask the LASTMA officer, but
you have 1 minute 30 seconds.
On this Aja Expressway, getting to Aja, Elaje, why is it that the LASTMA cooperate with the Danfo drivers to occupy the section of the road and they cause the slowdown of the moving of the free flowing of the commuters?
When you say cooperate with the Danfo drivers, what do you mean?
They will be standing right there.
Okay.
Allow them to shadow passengers and they also discharge passengers.
Is that a bus stop? Is that a designated bus stop?
No, not at all. That's why I'm wondering. And it now makes it difficult. That's why each and every time we are going back to Aja, they always get stuck with traffic every now and then.
Okay.
It makes life pretty difficult for us. And again, I want you to help me and ask the LASTMA officer, is it the right of, is it in their jurisdiction to arrest a car claiming that they use this particular type of car to do one chance kind of work? Is it in the jurisdiction of the LASTMA?
Okay. All right.
Thank you, President Sandra.
Thank you very much for calling. Engineer Duye.
Well, we call a spade. And I think to a certain degree, you answered a bit of it when you asked the question, should LASTMA officer not be friendly? You see, we're dealing with the public here. And I'm not trying to throw things away or to deflect from LASTMA officers, but we have a motoring public that is divided from selfish point of view. We have the private motorist that wants to get from A to B in quick time. And thank God you mentioned about the number of vehicles per kilometer space in Lagos. That is way too high. But every average Nigerian wants to get to some place A to B. Then you have another set of commuters who are dependent on public transport on the buses. And their numbers are much higher than that of private vehicle ownership. But most people that come in this kind of medium and they attack what LASTMA is doing, mostly you see them coming from the private setup, the private vehicle ownership. They're getting stuck. So they get somewhere at a bus lay-by or whatever, and they see these commercial buses doing whatever they want to do. Now, I always ask the question, who are these commercial bus drivers? Are they aliens? Are they not Nigerians working in an environment that has been allowed by the system to work under? Because if the government have not provided BRT buses for all of the areas in Lagos State, nobody's going anywhere because they don't have cars. So we need to embrace the commercial buses. So we don't have a choice right now until issue of water transportation increases, until the issue of rail increases. So we're dependent on the yellow buses. Who are the owners of the yellow buses? How are they supposed to operate? So the yellow buses are individually owned. They're not owned by government. And the system of putting a yellow bus on the road is that I put it down on the road and I expect daily return from the driver. Now it's a free-for-all. Anyone can buy buses, have it registered, and be running transportation. So sometimes during the off-peak period, you have more buses on the road than that is required. And they don't have garages to stay off the road. So you're bound to have congestion. Then let us deal with the commuters. They are so spoiled. And I'm telling you that they are so spoiled that to get an average commuter to walk to a proper bus stop and wait for a bus, no, that's not going to happen for them. They're going to spread across the road at junctions, at choke points, and expect the buses to wait for them. So you have an unholy matrimony. So the bus driver was desperate to collect money and the commuter who is lazy to go to the bus stop are already in marriage. And so every single day, I put 3 LASTMA officers at a point, but there are 9 yellow buses coming through with over 100, 200 passengers. So please, someone should tell me what the Nigerian, the average human being who happens to be a LASTMA officer is supposed to do to deal with both the commuters and the commercial drivers. I personally, I go to Woroshoki. The lay-by was built to accommodate over 100 vehicles. You would expect the commuters to go inside the lay-by, wait for their buses to pick them up and they go. But no, that's not going to happen for them because the person that came after another commuter is hoping to get onto a bus or a car before the person they met at the bus stop. So what do? They start hanging on until they stand on 3rd Mainland Bridge. Now I have 30 officers. How many commuters are you going to tell to move into the bus stop that is not going to slap you? I speak good English, and I'm very good in talking to people. But there's no way I go to that bus stop that I do not lose my lovely voice. So after a while, people are going to ask me, do you want to die because of this work, because you're talking too much, because the people are not listening? Do you understand? So we're living in an environment where you have people, when it doesn't suit them, they complain. But guess what? The commuters in the commercial buses are not complaining, especially when the buses are going through one way and driving into BRT. Do you think they're complaining? No, they are even ready to pay extra for violation. And when you pick up the driver, what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be a 70-year-old woman there that's going to step out, old enough to be your grandma. She's going to kneel down in the middle of the road and start begging you, don't arrest the driver. Oh, Mark, don't be angry. It's not going to do it tomorrow.
But we can't simply bow to the dysfunction. I mean, I hear you. I hear all you're saying. I hear all the dysfunction, but we simply cannot bow to the dysfunction, and that's where LASTMA comes in. But there does seem to be some leniency accorded to commercial bus drivers that are often not accorded private car owners. You know, I mean, you have people who, like that guy, calling and talk to you about how, they leave the buses are, and you also said so yourself a few minutes ago, the buses are doing what they like and the focus seems to be on private car owners. So how do we work around the dysfunction? I mean, LASTMA is doing all it can with the limited resources it has, but there has to be a way that we get those buses to not obstruct the flow of traffic while also understanding all the constraints that they have.
Sandra, let me be honest with you. Go straight out and start the focus and say, ban all yellow buses right now. And the problem goes away. That's what you got to do. All right? If you can get away with it. Because the commuters, the public that we serve, ain't going to support you except you have a viable alternative on the ground. It's as simple as that. There's no point in everyone looking away and thinking there's some kind of magic that an agency like LASTMA will perform when you're dealing with the public. You're dealing with the public who do not have the patience to understand and to assimilate and to be patient about anything. So it is nothing to do with everybody saying, oh, it's the government or it is LASTMA. No, I am not the public. The public is there. I have 14 passengers in a commercial bus. They would have paid. If I pick up that downfall driver for bad behavior in the middle of the road, tell me how many people am I affecting? I'm affecting the driver, affecting the owner, and the 14 passengers that are inside because they're not getting their money back. And they're not going to get a bus from where they are. And I need to bring the bus in so that he can change his attitude. So if we go all out, your radio station is going to come back on me and say, why are you being so nasty? People are stranded at bus stops, they're not going anywhere. Then there's going to be mayhem. So let's fix our reality. It is not an excuse. It's the truth. It is what it is.
Okay, let's take a few more calls. 99.3, hello.
Hi. Good evening, Sandra.
You've got 1 minute, 30 seconds.
I can't actually believe what this LASTMA guy just said. Are you justifying the reason why downfall drivers block the road? This is so unacceptable. How can you justify the reason that a 70-year-old woman won't come off the bus and start pleading with you? There are buses in other countries, for goodness sake. And because you go to areas where there are even divers for buses to actually park and pick up their passengers. No, these buses don't park on those. They don't want to divert. They want to stay in the middle of the road and pick up people. Come to Aja. There are places, they've created places where buses, they are parked. Go into the park and pick up your passengers before you move. No, and you're justifying it. Wow, I see where our problems are coming from. Because if you think it's okay to break the law because you don't want to offend one person, there are laws and there are laws. Everybody cannot be happy, but the truth is to stay in the center of the road and pick up passengers. It is very unacceptable.
Thank you for calling. 99.3.
Auntie Sandra.
Good to have you on the show. What's your name?
This is Mr. Frank from
1 minute, 30 seconds.
Yes. Auntie Sandra. In a situation where that man that was on emergency that want to take his wife to the hospital, in a situation where that thing occurs, how can last man treat that kind of case? And the 10,000 naira they collected, have they returned it? That is number one. Number two, why is it that if there is traffic, all these government officials will be using their pawun, and then they will follow one way? Why is it that last man don't use to arrest them? Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you, huh?
That's number two. That's number three. Why is it that if all these commercial vehicles come parking on the main road collecting passengers, then if any private car comes, emergency, to match break for the commercial vehicle to clear on the way, then the next thing you will see is last man office to enter inside the private car and leave the commercial vehicle. Are you getting me now?
I'm getting you.
Now, can he let us know that there is all this force they are collecting on the way, that there is nothing behind it?
Thank you very much for calling, Frank. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We've got about 1 minute, 30 seconds. I don't know if he can address all those questions in 1 minute, 30 seconds. But Engineer Duyeye, over to you.
Yes, I understand the passion that the lady has spoken. Unfortunately, I will repeat, it is what it is. It is nothing to do with justification. It's offering reality explanation. Now, I don't say anything arrogantly, and I'm not saying that you must agree to everything I say, but the point is, if there's anything I've said that you can disprove not to be factual, reality on the ground, please do me a favor, let me know how you can, if you were on this side, how you will do it. Because I tell you what, if you understand the commercial yellow bus drivers in Lagos, you would not be saying what you're saying. And that is the truth. I stand on what I say. The issue of the 10,000 bribe, whatever, yes, it has been given, but that situation wasn't an emergency. The guy only made up the story just so he can get away with the offense that he committed. That is a fact. That is period. The issue of discrimination is an accusation that will always come in. The point is, has LASTMA ever asked any motorist to commit any traffic offense or to violate any of the traffic law?
Engineer Duyeye, let's leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your time. We have to go, but thank you. We do hope we'll bring you back on the show in the future.
Thank you.
Recording.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's